The pressure alarm screamed as sparks rained across the hangar floor. Jonah Reed had both hands buried in the open engine housing when gravity stuttered, and the lights went blood red. She swore softly and didn't pull away. Human mechanics learned early that panic killed faster than vacuum. The ship was not supposed to be here. This bay did not exist on any chart Jonah trusted, and she trusted very few. Ancient stone arches loomed beyond the docking clamps, older than any station she had ever serviced. Metal met history in a way that made her skin itch. Jonah sealed the engine panel and wiped oil across her cheek with a bare wrist. The job was routine, they said. Fix the drift coil, get paid, leave before local security noticed. Now armored figures poured through the arches in perfect silence. They moved like statues given orders by gods. Jonah stepped back, hands raised, pulse pounding. She was a human on a contract rig, deep in alien space, with no flag to protect her. A knight stopped 10 steps away. His armor was dark and engraved with symbols that seemed to move when she blinked. The helmet hid his face completely. He did not raise a weapon. That was worse. Behind him, footsteps echoed with measured grace. Jonah's breath caught. The woman who entered wore a deep green gown under light, ornate armor. Platinum blonde hair flowed down her back, catching the soft light like spun metal. A thin gold circlet rested on her brow. Royal. No mistaking it. Jonah had worked on ships for pirates, diplomats, and warlords. This was different. This was authority so old it didn't need to shout. The Queen's eyes were calm but sharp. They went from the sealed engine to Jonah's grease-stained hands to her face. Silence stretched. Jonah broke it with a careful bow. "I'm just the mechanic," she said. The words sounded small in the vast stone chamber. The Queen studied her like a problem that refused to stay solved. "You repaired a forbidden core," the Queen said. Her voice was low, steady, and carried without effort. Jonah swallowed. "It was breaking your ship," she replied. "Breaking doesn't mean permission. That core would have torn a hole through your hull in 6 hours." Jonah gestured toward the engine. "I stopped it." The knight shifted slightly, just enough to remind Jonah that she could be cut down before finishing a sentence. The Queen raised a single finger. The knight froze. Jonah noticed the detail, filed it away. "Control without force. Interesting." "You are human," the Queen said. "Yes." "You were not summoned." "No. You touched what only my bloodline may command." Jonah exhaled slowly. "Then your bloodline builds terrible machines." A flicker crossed the Queen's face. "Not anger. Curiosity." The Queen stepped closer, boots quiet against ancient stone. Jonah held her ground, heart hammering. Up close, the Queen looked younger than Jonah expected. "Tired too." "Why risk death?" the Queen asked. Jonah shrugged. "Someone had to." The Queen looked at the knight. "Did she lie?" The knight's voice came from behind metal and shadow. "No, your radiance." Jonah stiffened. That voice was human, or close enough to make her chest tighten. The Queen turned back to Jonah. "You speak as if consequence is optional." Jonah gave a thin smile. "Consequence is just another system failure. You fix it or it kills you." The Queen studied her longer this time. Dust drifted in the air between them. The arches seemed to lean inward, listening. "You will come with us," the Queen said. "Not a threat. A decision." Jonah glanced at the knight. At the hidden face. At the way he stood slightly closer to the Queen than anyone else. "Am I a prisoner?" Jonah asked. The Queen paused. "No," she said, "you are a complication." Jonah snorted despite herself. "Story of my life." The knight extended a gauntleted hand. Jonah hesitated, then took it. The metal was warm. Alive. As they walked beneath the ancient arches, Jonah felt it deep in her bones. This was not a detour. This was the moment her life broke into something else entirely. And somewhere beneath that armor, the knight watched her like fate had finally arrived. The corridors twisted like the veins of some ancient beast. Jonah's boots echoed against stone floors polished smooth by centuries, each step a reminder that she was far from any human station or any human law. The queen walked ahead with effortless grace. Her platinum hair caught the light from high windows, the gold circlet glinting like a tiny sun. Every motion was deliberate, every glance measured, as if the very air obeyed her. Jonah wanted to study her, to understand her, but nerves tangled her thoughts. "Do you always let strangers touch your cores?" the queen asked without looking back. Jonah blinked. "Depends on the stranger." A flicker of amusement crossed the queen's face. Just a flicker, gone before Jonah could be sure she had seen it. The knight remained at the queen's side, silent and imposing. Jonah noticed how he subtly adjusted his steps to mirror hers, a constant shadow she could neither escape nor challenge. "You are far from your home," the queen said suddenly, voice like silk and steel. "Yet you speak without fear. Why?" Jonah shrugged, keeping her hands in view. "Fear's expensive. I don't have a budget for it." The queen's gaze finally met hers. For a heartbeat, Jonah felt like the only human in a cathedral of eternity. "You underestimate your place," she said softly. "This is not merely a ship, it is a legacy." Jonah's brow furrowed. "Legacy." "Generations of command, creation, and destruction," the queen replied. "And you touched it." Jonah swallowed hard. The queen wasn't angry, she wasn't accusing, she was curious. The knight shifted. "You will answer questions in due time, your radiance," he said. The armor's metallic whisper sent chills down Jonah's spine. "Why are you taking me to your inner chambers?" Jonah asked, unable to hide her tension. "I fixed the core, that's my job done." The queen stopped in front of a massive archway. Beyond it, the chamber opened into a hall so vast Jonah's chest tightened. Light spilled through mosaics of crystal, scattering rainbows across gold-lined floors. Statues of alien ancestors towered over her, faces carved with haunting precision, eyes that seemed to watch her every move. "This is where decisions are made," the queen said, "and where truth is revealed." Jonah's stomach churned. She had worked on smuggler ships that hid illegal AI cores, pirate labs, even interstellar war machines. But never had she felt the weight of history pressing on her like this. A soft hum filled the chamber. Jonah turned, seeing the core she had repaired resting on a pedestal, glowing faintly, humming like a heartbeat. "You stopped it from killing your own kind," the queen said quietly, her eyes never leaving Jonah's. "That makes you more than a mechanic." Jonah felt the words settle like lead in her chest. More than a mechanic. She had no weapons, no rank, no training beyond fixing broken machines. Yet here she was, standing in a hall older than Earth, being measured by a queen who commanded empires. The queen extended a hand toward the glowing core. "Few understand the burden of creation, even fewer survive it." Jonah hesitated, then stepped forward. Her fingers hovered over the energy field. Something inside the core shifted, pulsing like it recognized her touch. The air around her tingled. The knight shifted again, ever silent, ever watchful. "You may be human," the queen said, "but you carry a spark that does not belong to your kind." Jonah froze. "What do you mean?" The queen's eyes softened just slightly. "You were not meant to find this place, yet you did, and now you are bound to it." A rush of dizziness hit Jonah. She had fixed machines for credits and survival, never for destiny. And yet, standing in the heart of a civilization older than her understanding, she felt the first stirring of something she had never imagined: purpose. Before she could speak, the core shuddered violently, sending a wave of light across the hall. Jonah barely caught herself on the pedestal. The queen's voice cut through the hum, sharp and urgent. "It knows you." Jonah blinked at the glowing artifact. "Knows me how?" The knight's armored hand moved subtly toward the queen. "Because you are more than human," he said, voice low and steady, like a drumbeat beneath stone. Jonah's pulse spiked. What does that even mean? The queen's expression darkened slightly, the first shadow she had shown since Jonah arrived. "It means you are not here by chance, and it also means danger is already hunting you." The hum grew louder, the arches vibrated, dust swirled, something ancient had awakened. Jonah's hands shook. Her routine repair job, her ordinary life was over. And somewhere deep in the glowing heart of the hall, the alien core pulsed like a heartbeat, calling her forward. Her breath caught, and she realized she might not survive the night. But she was already too entangled to turn back. The hum from the core echoed through Jonah's chest as if it had learned to speak in her own rhythm. She had never felt anything like it. Metal, energy, and something alive, all vibrating in unison with her heartbeat. The queen stepped closer, her gown brushing the golden floor with a whisper, eyes locked on Jonah. "It has chosen to respond to you," she said, voice low but commanding. "That is why you are here." Jonah stumbled back slightly. "Chosen me? I'm just a mechanic." "You are not just anything," the queen corrected, tilting her head. "You have touched what only those of royal blood should command." Jonah's mind raced. She had fixed broken engines, rewired reactors, and recalibrated cores, but she had never, ever activated something like this. A sinking feeling coiled in her stomach. "Why me?" she whispered. The queen's gaze softened in a way that made Jonah's throat tighten. "Because you are human, and yet you carry a spark the stars themselves fear to ignore. You are alive in ways we cannot measure. That spark, it answers to you." Jonah's eyes flicked to the night. He had remained silent until now, the dark visor of his helmet reflecting the hall's scattered rainbows. "And what about him?" she asked, nodding toward the knight. "Does he answer to me too?" The knight lowered his head slightly. "I answer to her," he said, indicating the queen, "but if she commands, you may be your own authority." Jonah blinked. The words were heavy, almost impossible to believe. She felt the weight of all the tools she had ever carried in her hands, all the ships she had repaired, all the lives saved by her quick thinking, and somehow it all led here. The core pulsed again, brighter this time, and Jonah's instincts told her it was alive, aware, and hungry for interaction. The energy wasn't hostile, but it demanded attention. She reached toward it cautiously. The instant her fingers brushed the surface, light surged around her. She gasped, stumbling backward, but the queen caught her wrist. "Steady," she said, voice calm yet layered with tension. "It will not harm you if you understand it." Jonah looked into the queen's face. The seriousness in those platinum eyes was overwhelming, yet there was a strange gentleness beneath it. Something almost human. She had expected alien coldness, or a ruler so far beyond her comprehension she would crumble, but the queen she radiated authority tempered by empathy. Jonah took a deep breath and touched the core again, this time with intention. Waves of knowledge flooded her mind, blueprints, energy patterns, histories she had never known. Every pulse of the core communicated a story, a civilization built on balance and order, and yet it was fragile. It had been kept safe for millennia, and now, somehow, it recognized her as a protector. The queen's lips parted slightly. "You see now," she said, almost in awe, "you are part of this." Jonah staggered back, overwhelmed. Her hands were shaking. "I don't understand. Why me? I'm just human." The queen shook her head gently. "Human, yes, but extraordinary." The knight moved closer, his presence solid and reassuring. "You must learn quickly," he said. "There are those who will hunt you for touching the core, those who would kill you without hesitation." Jonah's stomach dropped. "Kill me for fixing a machine." "Not just a machine," the queen corrected, voice stern. "For awakening a legacy." Jonah's heart pounded. The hum of the core filled her ears, a sound both terrifying and comforting. She felt the pull of something immense, something that demanded loyalty and courage, something bigger than herself. "Am I supposed to lead it?" she asked, voice trembling. The queen stepped closer, placing a hand over Jonah. The warmth of her skin through the light armor was almost grounding. "Not lead, guide, protect. You are its steward now." Jonah's chest tightened. The enormity of what she had just been told pressed down on her, heavier than gravity. Her routine life, her safe little jobs, her human-sized worries, they all seemed irrelevant now. A shadow flickered across the far end of the hall, sharp and fast. Jonah's eyes snapped toward it. The knight's gauntlet moved instantly to the hilt of a hidden weapon. "They are here," the queen said calmly, but her voice held an edge Jonah had never heard. "And they will not wait." The core pulsed violently, bright enough to cast dancing shadows across the massive hall. Jonah felt her fear spike, but beneath it something else awakened, a strange, exhilarating certainty. She was human, she was unarmed. She had no training for battle or politics or royal intrigue. And yet she had the core. She had the queen's trust. And now, for the first time in her life, Jonah realized she might be the only one who could stop what was coming. The knight's visor reflected the light. "Stay close," he said quietly. "It will try to draw you in." Jonah swallowed, heart hammering. Her hands itched to touch the core again. She had no idea what would happen if she did, but a voice deep inside her whispered that she had no choice. Somehow, a human mechanic had become the center of a galaxy-old legacy. And nothing would ever be routine again. The shadow moved again, faster this time, skimming the edges of the hall like a predator. Jonah's pulse spiked, and her hands itched toward the glowing core, even as every instinct screamed to run. The queen's voice cut through the tension, calm but sharp. "Do not touch it unless you are ready to face what it will reveal." Jonah froze. Ready? She didn't even know what facing it meant. Her entire life had been fixing machines that broke, not commanding relics that pulsed like living suns. The knight stepped forward, metal gleaming under the crystal light, posture rigid. "They have followed you this far," he said. "This is no ordinary intrusion." Jonah swallowed. Her mind raced. Intrusion? Who? Why? A sudden screech echoed from the far side of the hall. Something metallic collided with the stone floor, sending shards of crystal scattering like tiny stars. Jonah jumped back, catching herself against a column. Figures emerged from the shadows, tall, angular, and alien, their eyes glowing red like molten metal. Their limbs moved with terrifying precision, synchronized yet chaotic. They were hunters sent to reclaim the core or kill the one who dared awaken it. The queen moved in front of Jonah, her hand resting lightly on the hilt of a sword that seemed more ceremonial than functional, yet radiated authority. Her eyes never left Jonah. "You are stronger than you think," she said. Jonah's stomach tightened. "I'm a mechanic, not a warrior." "Not today," the queen replied. "Today you are necessary." The knight drew a blade from his armor, its surface engraved with the same shifting symbols as his helm. He stood slightly ahead of Jonah, a barrier of dark steel between her and the invaders. "Focus on the core," he said. "It will guide you." Jonah looked at the pulsing artifact. Its light flickered and surged, almost impatiently, as if it understood the threat before her mind could process it. The nearest alien lunged. Jonah froze, then instinctively she touched the core. A wave of energy burst through her, so intense that it knocked her off her feet. Her vision blurred, but she could see the aliens freezing mid-step. The hum of the core became a roar, filling the hall with light and power that felt alive. Her hands glowed. She didn't understand how, but she felt it. Commands, intentions, movement, not her own, but hers to direct. The alien advanced, and without thinking, Jonah raised her hands. Energy shot from the core, hitting the alien and sending it sprawling across the floor. Jonah gasped, her body trembling. "Did I just—" The queen's eyes widened ever so slightly. "Yes," she said. "You can shape it, but control it or it will consume you." The knight moved, cutting a precise arc through another attacker. Jonah realized he wasn't just protecting her. He was reading her energy, responding to it, moving in perfect harmony. Her pulse and his movements synced without words. Fear twisted in her chest. The aliens were relentless, but Jonah felt something grow inside her. Power, yes, but also clarity. She could feel the core's rhythm, the way it wanted to protect, to defend. It wasn't just energy, it was awareness, intelligence, and it recognized her. Another alien lunged from behind. Jonah barely reacted in time, thrusting her glowing hands toward it. Light erupted, and the creature screamed, a sound so unnatural that it made her skin crawl. The queen stepped closer, placing her hand on Jonah's shoulder, grounding her. "Do not hesitate," the queen said. "They will exploit fear. You have authority here." Jonah's chest heaved. Authority. She had never imagined such a word could describe a human mechanic. She had repaired engines, fixed hulls, salvaged lives, but authority, to feel it, to wield it, made her tremble with awe and terror. The aliens regrouped, snarling in clicks and screeches, and Jonah realized there were too many. She needed a plan, or she would die here. The knight's visor reflected the core's light, unwavering. "I will cover you," he said, "but you must lead it, or we all fall." Jonah's hands hovered over the pulsing heart of the hall. Sweat and fear mixed, but beneath them determination blazed. She had a choice: hide as she always had, or embrace what she had accidentally become. Her fingers brushed the core again. Light exploded. She felt everything: the hall, the queen, the knight, even the aliens, like threads in a web she could influence. Her heartbeat synchronized with the pulse. She was no longer just human. The aliens screamed and faltered. Jonah realized she had stopped them, not with strength, but with command. The queen's eyes shone with something close to pride. But before Jonah could even catch her breath, a deeper, darker hum rose from the far corner of the hall. A presence far older, far more powerful than the invaders, stirred. The queen's lips tightened. "They are not the worst," she said. Jonah's stomach plummeted. She had thought the aliens were the danger. She was wrong. Something far older, far more dangerous had just woken. And it was looking right at her. The hum that rose from the shadows was different, darker, deeper, almost alive. It vibrated in Jonah's bones, echoing with a language she couldn't understand but somehow felt. The aliens froze mid-step, clicking and hissing in panic. Even the core in front of her pulsed violently, as if warning her of something far older than the attackers she had just fought. The queen's eyes narrowed, platinum hair catching the scattered light. "It has awakened," she said, her voice tight, "and it recognizes you." Jonah staggered back. "Recognizes me? Why would? What are you talking about?" "You are not entirely human," the queen said, her tone calm but heavy. "You carry the same spark as my line, the spark that binds rulers to the core." Jonah blinked, mind spinning. What? That's impossible. I'm just—" "No," the queen interrupted, stepping closer. "You are why the core responded. You are why it did not destroy you. Your ancestry, your bloodline has been hidden even from you." The knight, ever silent, lowered his head slightly, as if acknowledging her truth. "She carries the mark of the old line," he said. "The same line that once commanded empires across stars." Jonah's head spun. Memories flashed, snippets of her childhood she had always dismissed as dreams. A glowing pendant her mother had given her, stories of distant ancestors who traveled among the stars, and a recurring vision of a crown she could never explain. "You're saying I'm royalty," she whispered, voice trembling. "Not merely royalty," the queen corrected. "You are a queen in your own right, one the galaxy never expected to awaken." Jonah's knees buckled. She grabbed the nearest column, trying to steady herself. "I'm a mechanic. I fix engines. I don't." "You will," the queen said firmly, placing a hand over Jonah. The touch was grounding, warm, like a tether in a storm. "The core chose you because it recognized your right to command, and now, with it awake, danger has also come." The knight gestured toward the shadows. "The presence is ancient," he said. "Older than the line itself, older than memory. It seeks the core and you." A chill surged down Jonah's spine as the darkness began to shift. Something massive moved within it, impossible to fully see. The hum became a voice in her mind, whispering, testing, probing her fear and resolve. The queen's eyes softened for a fleeting moment, then hardened. "You will not face this alone," she said. "But you must embrace who you are. You have strength beyond what you understand. The core will amplify it, but it will not do the work for you." Jonah swallowed hard, her hands trembling. I don't know if I can." The queen's expression was solemn. "You don't have a choice. The galaxy doesn't wait for hesitation." The hum grew louder, vibrating through the entire hall. The core pulsed in response to Jonah's racing heartbeat. Light shot from it in jagged arcs, illuminating the alien attackers who were now frozen in a terrified retreat. But beyond them, the darkness pulsed, shapeless and immense, as if the very air had formed into a predator. The knight stepped closer, blade raised. "We can hold them," he said, "but only for a moment. It will test you." Jonah's mind whirled. She had spent her life fixing what was broken, making things function again. She had never been chosen, never mattered beyond the next repair. And now, everything depended on her. Her hands hovered over the glowing core. Fear clawed at her throat, but beneath it, a spark of determination flared. She had survived impossible odds before. She had faced deadly failures alone, and somehow, against all logic, she knew she could do this. The darkness began to surge forward, coiling like a living storm. Its intent was clear. It wanted her, wanted the core. Jonah drew a shuddering breath. "Okay," she whispered, almost to herself. "Let's see what a mechanic can really do." The core flared like a star in her hands. Energy wrapped around her fingers, weaving through her veins. The hall vibrated with power. She was no longer just human. She was something else, something alive and commanding and terrifyingly beautiful. The queen nodded, silent approval in her eyes. The knight braced himself. And Jonah stepped forward. The darkness recoiled. But it was far from over. From deep within the shadow, a voice, older than time, boomed in her mind. "Child of two worlds, you cannot hide. Surrender or be consumed." Jonah's chest burned, but she didn't flinch. She clenched her fists and felt the core respond. "I am not hiding. I am not surrendering." The first true battle for her destiny had begun. Jonah's hands burned with the core's energy, pulsing through her like a living heartbeat. She felt every vibration in the hall, every tremor in the stone arches, and somehow, every heartbeat of the queen and the knight beside her. The darkness recoiled, hissing like molten shadows, testing her courage. "Focus," the queen's voice said softly, but it carried authority that made Jonah's chest tighten. "Not just on the core, on yourself. You are its anchor." Jonah's lips trembled. Anchor me? She had spent her life fixing engines, never imagining she would stand in the middle of an ancient alien hall, wielding the lifeblood of a civilization. And yet, instinctively, she understood the rhythm of the core. It was alive, but it answered to her. The shadow surged again, more massive than before. She could feel it clawing at her, probing her thoughts, trying to unravel her fear. Her heartbeat raced. Fear screamed, but beneath it, determination blazed. She could not fail, not now, not when everything depended on her. Her hands rose, glowing with the core's brilliant light. She drew it inward, feeling power spread through her arms, spine, and chest. It pulsed in response to her will. The darkness recoiled, screaming in a language she could almost understand: rage, frustration, hunger. "You're stronger than it expected," the queen murmured, placing a hand lightly on Jonah's shoulder. The touch grounded her, reminded her she wasn't alone. Jonah nodded, swallowing hard. I'm not afraid," she whispered, though fear still lurked beneath the words. The knight's blade cut through the nearest alien attackers with precise arcs, his movements synchronized with the pulsing energy Jonah radiated. Together they were a force, an unexpected harmony of flesh, metal, and living energy. Jonah realized something astonishing. The knight wasn't just protecting her, he was connected to her energy. Every movement he made responded to her will, every strike an extension of her intent. The shadow screamed again, massive tendrils swirling through the hall. Jonah raised her hands higher, drawing the core's light into a concentrated force. Energy shot out in arcs, slicing through the darkness, scattering it like smoke in a storm. Every pulse she sent out pushed back the ancient presence, forcing it to retreat, just enough to give them a chance. Then a thought struck Jonah. The queen, she's not just guiding me, she's testing me. She turned, eyes locking with the platinum-haired woman who had commanded silence and respect even from the darkness itself. "You're like me?" Jonah asked, voice trembling. "I feel it, something inside me that's not human. How are we connected?" The queen's gaze softened, tinged with sorrow and pride. "Long ago, our bloodlines intertwined. Humans, yes, but with a spark from the stars. You carry it in your veins. You are my line reborn in flesh meant to survive the void." Jonah's breath caught. "You mean I was always meant to find the core?" Yes, the queen said, and not just find it, to command it, to protect it from forces older than our memory, to face the darkness that even my ancestors feared. Jonah's chest tightened, and the knight. He is my shield, the queen said, but also yours if you let him, trust yourself. The core pulsed wildly, almost demanding action. Jonah clenched her fists, drawing the energy inward, shaping it into a blade of pure light. Her fear melted into focus. She was no longer just human. She was part of something ancient, something that had waited for her awakening. The shadow lunged, massive tendrils coiling toward her. Jonah swung the blade. Light met darkness in a deafening clash, shaking the stone arches. Energy danced across the hall, illuminating the queen and knight in stark brilliance. And then Jonah felt it, an understanding deeper than thought. The darkness was testing her, not destroying her. It sought to measure whether she could wield the power she had been given. And she could. With one final surge, Jonah channeled every pulse of the core, every ounce of courage, and struck. The tendrils screamed, retreating into the shadows, dissolving into nothingness. Silence fell. Her knees buckled and the core's glow dimmed, pulsing softly now in tune with her heartbeat. She had survived. She had commanded. She had led. The queen stepped forward, placing both hands on Jonah's shoulders. You have done more than survive. You have awakened as we always hoped. You are not just a human mechanic. You are extraordinary. The knight lowered his blade, his head tilting in acknowledgement, though the visor still hid his expression. Jonah felt a strange warmth emanate from him, something between respect and connection. Jonah's chest heaved. She had faced darkness older than time itself. She had discovered that she was part of a lineage she never knew existed. She had survived. And yet, deep down, she knew the true challenge was just beginning. From the far shadows, the air shivered again, faint but unyielding. Jonah's hands tingled. The ancient presence was not gone. It was waiting. And now she was ready. The hall was quiet now, the echoes of battle fading into memory. Jonah's hands still glowed faintly with the pulse of the core, steady and warm, almost alive in her grasp. She stood upright, chest tight, feeling the weight and the thrill of what she had survived. The darkness had retreated, but she knew it was only waiting for another chance. The queen stepped closer, her platinum hair cascading like silver fire in the soft light. You have done well, she said. Her voice was soft, but every word carried authority, pride, and an unspoken challenge. Most would have faltered, most would have surrendered, not you. Jonah's lips trembled. I'm still just me, she whispered. A mechanic, I fix things I don't command. The queen smiled faintly, a spark of warmth Jonah had never expected from someone so regal. And yet, here you are. You have commanded what no one else could. You have survived darkness older than our line. That is not luck. It is destiny. The knight stepped closer, his armor clinking softly in the silence. Jonah caught the faintest tilt of his head toward her. You did more than survive, he said. You led. Jonah blinked. Led what? I don't even know what I am anymore. The queen extended her hand, delicate yet steady. You are more than human. You are the heir to a legacy that has waited for centuries. You and I, our bloodlines are connected. The core recognized that, and now the galaxy does too. Jonah swallowed, the enormity of it crashing down around her. She had gone from fixing an ordinary engine to commanding the very heartbeat of a civilization. Fear and awe tangled in her chest, but beneath it, a strange calm settled. She had survived. She had fought. She had been chosen. The knight lowered his visor slightly, revealing eyes that were human after all, sharp and steady. There was no judgment in them, only recognition. Jonah felt an unspoken bond form in that glance, a trust that went beyond words. The queen's gaze softened further. There is much to teach you, much you must learn, but today you have taken your first step. Today you are no longer just a mechanic. You are extraordinary. You are one of us. Jonah's hands glowed brighter for a heartbeat, responding to the core's acknowledgement of her claim. She lifted her head, feeling something swell inside her, a sense of purpose, of power, of belonging. The fear that had gripped her in the hall was gone, replaced by resolve. She could do this. She would do this. The queen's voice broke the momentary silence. The darkness will return. Others will come. But now you have allies, strength, and the right to command. You will not face them alone." Jonah nodded, taking a deep breath. For the first time in her life, she felt ready not just to repair, but to lead, to protect, to command. She glanced at the knight, then at the queen. I'll do it," she said. "I'll protect it. I'll protect you, all of this." The queen's lips curved into a proud smile, and for the first time, Jonah noticed the faint tremor in her eyes, a human touch beneath the regal authority. "I never doubted you," she said softly. The core pulsed gently in Jonah's hands, a heartbeat in sync with hers. The hall seemed to breathe around her, alive with history and potential. Shadows still lingered in the corners, but she no longer feared them. She had faced darkness and survived. She had embraced her destiny. Jonah straightened, feeling the weight of her new role, but also the thrill. For the first time, she understood what it meant to be extraordinary, not because she wanted it, but because she was chosen for it. The queen extended her hand again. This time, Jonah took it without hesitation. The knight stood beside them, steady and unwavering, a silent promise of loyalty and protection. Together, they walked toward the heart of the ancient hall, past arches that had witnessed centuries of power, toward a future that waited only for them to shape it. Outside, the stars burned bright, distant, and endless. Inside, Jonah's heartbeat echoed in time with the core. She was no longer just human. She was a guardian, she was a queen, she was extraordinary. And the galaxy would never forget her name.